This is the Fantasy Huddle. I'm Randy Shaver along with Kevin Gorg. Week 15 of the NFL season is in the books. We've got a lot to talk about. This show brought to you by Aquarius Home Services, along with 10K Construction, Minnesota Masonic Charities, and Lexus of Maplewood and Wyzetta. Lots of injury news. Of course, if you're still paying attention to fantasy football, Gorgie, you're in the playoffs, or you're maybe still dabbling in daily. But I don't know about you, but 8 of my 11 teams that I played this year are in the playoffs starting this week. So I care a lot about what's going on and a lot about the injuries. How about you? How many teams do you got in the playoffs this week?
Well, I had 8 teams. I've got 3 of them that survived the first week of the playoffs into the semifinals, down to 3 in one of my guillotines, which I'm really excited about. And yeah, trying to navigate now because weather matters. Injuries really matter. And you mentioned it right off the top of the show. I mean, the Patrick Mahomes injury has such a ripple effect with the weapons on that team. You look at, the 44-year-old quarterback that is Phillip Rivers. It was okay, but come on now, those weapons aren't the same in Indy. So after a full season of battling and grinding, and to get this far into the playoffs or start the playoffs, it's kind of a different looking fantasy landscape right now.
In your fantasy playoffs, if you make the semifinals, are you guaranteed money? Are you guaranteed money at this point, or do you still have to win one more round to be guaranteed?
A little bit in 2 of the 4, but the real money comes from winning this week. And that's why this is such a giant. And that's why I figured this would be a great place to set people up for the final time this year for their season long stuff, because most people right now are in that spot.
Yep. I'm in that boat. If I win this week, I'm guaranteed money, and that's
so fun.
That's what we care about. All right. We've got some injury things. He mentioned Mahomes, obviously out with the ACL. Parsons is out with the ACL, so that hurts Green Bay's defense. The big news on Thursday is Davante Adams.
Yeah.
We're recording this on Tuesday afternoon. There's still some hope that Adams can play on Thursday night when the Rams take on Seattle. That remains to be seen. You're going to need to watch the injury information, the active list on Thursday. If you have Adams, or maybe if you're playing against Adams, those would be things that you're going to want to pay attention to. Other than that, it looks like we're kind of everybody's in and for the most part ready to play. So we'll start with the Vikings and the Giants. This game is a noon start on Sunday. Vikings, of course, coming off the win over Dallas on Sunday night, which proved to be pretty big. And Kevin's got this game.
Yeah, fun game on Sunday Night Football. I got to catch the second half when I got working the Wild game. And I got to tell you, it's encouraging to see J.J. McCarthy stack up good starts. Now, we all understand they played Washington, they played Dallas. Neither one of those defenses is considered elite, but the Giants are very similar. So I think you can expect another solid game from J.J. McCarthy, and it's not preposterous to start him as long as the weather holds up. And the weather right now doesn't look terrible, but that can change. We'll update you on Friday. J.J., 5 touchdown passes in his last 2 games. He's run one in. There's some hope there. The backfield continues to be a no-fly zone for me. Jones and Mason are both good backs on their own. Yeah. They cancel each other out. TJ Hawkinson, solid tight end start, comfortable with that. And then really it's really going to be dealer choice as far as your roster goes. Do you trust Jefferson? Do you trust Addison? And do you trust Naylor? Like, I get that Naylor kind of had a nice game, but what do you do with Justin Jefferson? We keep saying this, Randy, and the results are the same. Like, this is no longer the guy you drafted in the first round. He's still a great player. It's just not a great situation. Teams are basically saying someone else is going to beat us, and his production's gone. Do you have him on any of your teams?
I don't have him on any of my teams that are still alive, which is amazing.
Wow.
I didn't draft him a lot this last year, just based on the McCarthy situation. It's not that they're not trying to get him the ball. It just seems like every time McCarthy throws to him, it's either too high, too low, or he drops it. So it's just been amazing the last 5-6 weeks. And they pointed it out on Sunday Night Football, how frustrating it is for both Jefferson and the Vikings, because it's not for a lack of trying, maybe not trying as much as they should, but they just can't get the two to connect. It's amazing.
Eight targets to your point last week. Eight of them had a touchdown called back, dropped a touchdown pass. If you got to start him,
if he had caught that touchdown, it would have changed the whole mindset for the Vikings. Sure. It would have changed everything because A, they would have won. B, he would have gotten into the end zone. And they're facing the Giants this week. Not, as you pointed out, not a great defense. I think there would have been some great momentum, but it's just not there.
They're not clicking for sure. On the Giants side, Jackson Dart, I think you can start him with confidence. Yep. He'll get you some rushing yards, maybe even a rushing touchdown along with whatever he does through the air. Tyrone Tracy Jr. had a good game last week. Of the backs, he'd be the guy I'd go with. I don't love him, but he's a guy that you can start.
He's getting some volume.
He is. He is, and he had a real nice run on the touchdown that he scored. Theo Johnson is a quiet, under-the-radar tight end that is producing week in and week out. Don't be afraid of Theo Johnson. Wan'Dale Robinson seems to be the guy that Jackson Dart favors. So of the receivers, I like him. Slayton's a guy for a complete dart throw and daily. Over-under's 44.5. Vikings are 2.5 or 3-point favorite. I think there'll be points, and I think it'll be a good game.
All right, let's move on to the Thursday night game, which is a monster game in the NFC, but in the NFC West in particular. The Rams at Seattle, both teams come in 11-3. The early line right now, 47.5. Seattle is a slight favorite at home. First of all, I'm sad this game's on the Thursday night slate. I would have loved if it was on the main slate for FanDuel on Sunday because there's so many great pieces in this game. Obviously, on the Rams side, Stafford for sure, Puka Nacua for sure. I think you can play Colby Parkinson, and
yes,
if it's a dart throw if you're still alive in the playoffs and you picked him up, he's worth it. He's scored 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. I think he's worth a look, especially if Adams doesn't play.
100%, because Adams was a red zone target. So now you got a big tight end. Yeah. If they're going to double or triple Nacua, I think that's a really good take.
And here's my take on the Rams. I've picked up Corum like weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, in a bunch of leagues, including teams I'm in the playoffs in. I was afraid to play him. It just didn't feel like I got to now. You have to. They're splitting the backs. They're giving him opportunities in the red zone. He's taking advantage of all the opportunities he's getting. And, they're trying to save Williams a little bit for when the postseason starts. So I'm going to play Corum in a few of my playoff contending teams this week, just because I don't want to be that guy that goes, well, I'll hold off one more week and then he has another game and I lose. What would be the point of that? So, but Kyron Williams and Corum, you can play them all, even though Seattle's defense is really good. I mean, Vegas is saying 47.5. That's like 24-23, 24-20, something like that. So you got to play them. And the Rams defense, I think you can look at and play. Again, if you're playing the one-off, trying to figure out a captain in this game, good luck because there's a lot of choices for that. On the Seattle side, 6 field goals. It felt like Jerry Burns standing there defending Schnurker after the 7 field goals by the barefoot kicker. But you know what? They won, and that's all that matters in a very tough game against the Colts. I do have that Seattle kicker. I've kept him, Myers. I've kept him in a lot of teams, and I'm glad I did. Yeah. Darnold and JSN feels like they got back a little bit again this week, 7 catches, 113 yards. Shaheed was the guy that I think people are, if you picked him up and he's been pedestrian at best, he finally had 7 targets and 5 catches and 74 yards. So there's an opportunity to play him at a very cheap price. The running game is miserable in Seattle. I'm not going to touch it. Not even in this game. You can't trust anybody there right now. I like the Rams to win this game. I like the Rams to win 24-20, something like that. But you can certainly play pieces on all sides. And if you have these guys in season long and you're sitting here in the playoffs, you have to play them. The numbers too high, the opportunity, and these teams are going to go after each other. there's going to be points put up in this game, even though there's good defenses on both sides. So, yeah, play them all if you got them. If I have a captain choice, I probably would pick Nakua just because he gets the volume, and I think the Rams might be in chase mode a little bit, could be possibly. But yeah, there's so many great pieces. This game's a good fantasy game. It's a great NFL game on Thursday night. It's a great game. All right, let's move on. You've got the Philadelphia Eagles and Washington. This is the first of two matchups in 3 weeks between these two teams. And I've got the Eagles defense in a number of my teams. I am so happy because I think this Eagles defense over the next couple of weeks is going to get right in this matchup.
And we get Saturday football. This is one of two Saturday matchups,
That's
which
right.
I always love this time of year. So middle of the afternoon, fire it up. Philadelphia, 6.5 point favorite. Totals at 44. So there could be some points in this game. Philadelphia, it's really easy. I mean, it's a simple team in fantasy. Hurts is a start. Barkley's a start. Goddard's a start. A.J. Brown's a start. And Devonta Smith's a start. There's really no mystery. That's their core. They're good. Sometimes they're great. Goddard was the guy last week. The week before it was A.J. Brown. The big play guy is Devonta Smith. Saquon has underachieved, but you kind of feel like he's sitting on a big one, and Hurts is awesome. So fire them all up. I think Philly's going to win the game. Washington, you've got Mariota, a backup quarterback in name only. In fantasy, he's produced decently. Now here we go with these running backs again. They keep teasing us with Bill. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, he had the big touchdown last week. I'm still not going to dive in. Not touching their running game. They still give all three guys looks, so no thank you. The one pass catcher I want now that Ertz is out for the year is Terry McLaurin. He's back. He's healthy. He is the alpha in this offense. There's no question about it. If you're desperate, Deebo Samuel's a guy, especially in the red zone. They might have some trick plays up their sleeve. Being that they're not going to be a playoff team, they might try some fun stuff. But for me, it's really Mariota and McLaurin, and I think you're right. The Eagles defense looks like a very tasty option.
Again, there's some really good games that aren't on the Sunday main slate for FanDuel, which is disappointing, but you could put these two Saturday games together and have fun with the Philly, Washington, and of course the Green Bay, Chicago game, which is the 7:00 game on Saturday night. It's a rematch from a couple of weeks ago when Green Bay won that game at home against the Bears. The Bears are 10-4. The Packers are 9-4-1. It's a monster game for both teams. I suppose there's a chance one of them might not make the playoffs if Detroit finds a way over the last 3 weeks to sneak their way in, but likely both these teams will get in. Only one obviously can win the division. So the division is on the line this week for sure. On the Packers side, they need a big game from Jordan Love. He's going to need to carry them a little bit against a Bears defense, which I think is going to be super fired up at home. There's so much on the line. They can definitely feel it and sense it. I don't see a way that the Bears lose this game at home, especially with Green Bay losing Parsons on the defensive side. I think Chicago is going to be fire. It's going to be a close game. The number's 46.5. That feels too high to me personally. And Green Bay's a favorite, at least the early favorite. To me, this is a pick'em game, especially with Parsons now no longer part of the picture on their defensive side. Obviously, Jacobs is the best player on Green Bay's side. He's the best player to play. Should get a lot of volume against the Bears, both in the pass game and running the football. The receivers are just a mess. Watson's out now. I mean, it's a mess. There's just really nothing there to play or to trust. So the Green Bay side to me is pretty easy. The Bears side, they pounded Cleveland last week in a game that they needed to do that. They won 31-3. Caleb Williams had some wild throws, but he had some, the wild throw touchdown pass to DJ Moore was incredible on the run, rolling right and throwing across his body. DJ Moore finally had a big game, played really well in this game. Check Odunze's status. There is a possibility that he'll play. If not, I am all over DJ Moore, I guess, in this matchup because I think he's the one guy. Loveland has become like a security blanket for Caleb Williams, which is awesome because I have Loveland in my whatever we're in together that
Chicken dinner.
You play till you die league,
Oh, yes.
yeah. So I'm excited about having him. The running game was strong against Cleveland. The Browns in the last 2 weeks have given up some yards. DeAndre Swift had a really nice game. So I like the Bears. I think the Bears win this game at home. I look for them to play really well. They lost 28-21 the last time they played Green Bay in a very close football game. To me, I'm going to stack some of the Bears. I like the Eagles players better if I'm putting the two games together on a Saturday, FanDuel 2-game set. But I really do like the Bears to win this football game. Caleb Williams has thrown the fewest interceptions through 1,000-yard pass attempts in league history.
Wow.
Which is phenomenal numbers. So I like Caleb in this game a lot. So it's a good fantasy matchup. Wish it was on the main slate, but it's not. But it's a great football game. There's just so much between the Rams in Seattle and the Packers in Green Bay. The schedule makers got it absolutely perfect this weekend to watch NFC Championship football. Let's move on to the Sunday main slate. Buffalo is at Cleveland. Kevin's got that.
Yeah, not a great football game, but maybe you can find some fantasy love here. Totals 42.5. Weather always an issue this time of year in Cleveland. The Bills are a double-digit favorite. They're favored by 10. Game they have to win. Clearly, they're sitting at 10-4. They're right in the hunt there. Josh Allen, it's a no-brainer.
Phenomenal.
He's so good. I mean, this defense from Cleveland is terrific, but Josh, even if he's on the run all day, he's going to get you 20 to 30 fantasy points every single week. James Cook is a stud, but this is a really tough matchup. So he'll be tested. Last week, 22 carries, over 100 yards, couple touchdowns. He is really putting together a nice season. In the passing game, you've now got two tight ends. Kincaid and Knox are both great if they're on their own. But now, again, they cancel each other out. I don't like the situation. The one pass catcher I might use would be Khalil Shakir. If I play any main slates, I want to use Josh Allen. He'd be the guy I would link up and try to attack that way. On the Cleveland side, you're not starting Shadir Sanders. I know Buffalo's defense is bad. I know he had one really good game, but no, you're not starting him. You're not using him. There's other options. I love Judkins. Judkins had a bad week last week at Chicago. This Buffalo defense can be had on the ground. So the 12 for 21 last week is ugly. I expect closer to 20 or 25 carries. I expect 100 yards for Judkins. I think you can start him. And Fannin is the guy. I mean, he is the one pass catcher you want. I love that smile on your face. He's evolved, part of it because my guy Njoku cannot stay healthy. He's a fossil, and I don't want to talk about it. Jerry Jeudy is a dart throw for big plays, but you're not going to start him because you're not starting the quarterback. So very limited options here. Buffalo's going to win the game. I don't know that it's going to go over the 42.5. I just worry about cold weather and in a game really being played on the ground. So I don't think it's a great fantasy game.
Yeah, I think Cook is like the play for me because I think they're going to be up and I think they're going to run the ball. And Cleveland has been susceptible the last couple of weeks to running the football. Yeah, crazy. Chargers at Dallas. Huge game for the Chargers. Coming off their wins and beating Kansas City and eliminating the Chiefs. And for Dallas, they have like a 1% chance, to make it now that they lost to the Vikings, which really is no chance. 48.5 is the number. The Cowboys were the early favorite. That could change. I just don't.
Makes no sense.
I just don't see how that is, but there's a lot of very close lines this week. I know you had a blowout line in the Buffalo Cleveland game, but there's a lot of really close lines this week, and this is one of them. Chargers side, the running game, Vidal outsnapped Hampton, but Hampton had a few more carries on the ground. So it's muddled for the Chargers if you're looking at the running game. They could have a decent day against Dallas, though, because Dallas has been basically eliminated. So we'll see what kind of energy they bring to a football game that actually, when the Eagles win on Saturday. Dallas
Right.
will be eliminated. So they probably won't be very excited to play in this football game. Herbert has not had a top 15 quarterback performance since week 9. So he's probably not a guy you want to look at for daily this week, just because they have not thrown the ball all that well. Keenan Allen has had monster target shares the last 4 weeks, hasn't really translated into big numbers or touchdowns. You could stack those two. Gatson finally had 10 fantasy points last week at tight end, but he's kind of lost in all of this. I do like the Chargers to win the game. I think there's a lot on the line for them. They have a lot to play for. I think that Harbaugh will have them up to play in this game. Their defense, I think, has a chance to do good things against the Dallas offense that likely, having been eliminated from the playoffs, will not have the edge that they probably would have if they were still alive in this game. On the Cowboys side, after losing to the Vikings, yeah, Dak, CD, Pickett. I feel bad if you're relying on those guys in your season-long playoffs, because the fact that they've been eliminated likely means this week they're not going to be up to 100% performing at the top, just because of the fact that they're not playing for something. But you certainly can start them. You can play them. I don't really like them this week in the daily stuff, but you certainly could look at that and play those guys. But they've been quiet. Lamb's been quiet. Pickens has been really quiet, seems disinterested. Ferguson's a really good tight end, but again, they just haven't shown a lot. And
no,
if you're a Cowboys fan and you watch them play against the Vikings on Sunday night, you're like, oh boy, this is not good. So I do like the Chargers. I like the Chargers defense a little bit, but if I'm going to play somebody on the Chargers side, I really can't recommend anybody, because I think it's muddled and there's just not enough there. Even though Vegas says the number is high and it's going to be a close football game. Let's go to Kansas City at Tennessee, which is going to be interesting, I think, a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, and here you are in the semifinals, likely playing for all this money. And if you had a couple of these Chiefs, they've been really good all year, especially when they're healthy. And now you've got Gardner Minshew behind center. So Kansas City would have been a 10-point favorite if all things were equal, but they're not. They're a 3.5-point favorite. No Mahomes, nothing to play for. The total's 37.5.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really weird game. So you're not going to start the running backs because Pacheco and Hunt basically cancel each other out.
Yeah.
Worthy's a dart throw, and it comes down to the two big guys, Kelsey and Rice. When Mahomes is there, are studs. What do you do now? And it's a really tough call. Minshew has shown, in his career, he can pop. But again, I just don't know if Kansas City mentally, a lot like Dallas, are they going to be in a place where they care all that much? So we'll see. You got to start them probably if you have them because they're studs. But I think
they are playing Tennessee, for Pete's sake.
That helps. That helps.
Does help.
And I love when I get the Tennessee matchup in the email you sent, because it's going to be quick. There's one guy and one guy only, and his name is Tony Pollard. In the last 2 weeks, he's been unbelievably good. KC's run defense is stout. He'll be tested. But the last 2 weeks, he's got nearly 300 yards rushing. So fire up Tony Pollard. You're not starting Ward. None of the receivers, not Chig, the tight end. Basically, it's Pollard, Kelsey, and Rice. You're on your own. I see a 23-10 type of win for KC, but nobody cares.
You're on your own, everybody. All right. Cincinnati, Miami, Sunday matchup. The number is 50.5. The Bengals are a slight favorite. Of course, the Dolphins lost to Pittsburgh on Monday night, 28-15. On the Dolphins side, really, Achane is really the only guy I want to play in this game. I know Cincinnati's defense is not very good. Tua could very well have a very good game. I don't trust him to do that. I know Waller had a great game. He had 7 catches and 2 touchdowns. I don't trust him, even though the Bengals give up the most points to tight end.
I know it's so tempting.
I am not going to play Waller.
No,
I can't freaking do it. Can't
He could
do
get
it.
hurt in the first play, right?
He could. Tua and Waddle, yes. You could play him. You could stack him for sure. Yes. Achane, absolutely. I think he's the guy in this game. On the Bengals side, Joe Burrow has a good matchup. The pressure's off. The number's high. Can he and Jamar Chase finally connect and have a game? I mean, wouldn't that be great? I have Jamar Chase in a couple of my playoff teams. It's like, come on. Can I have one freaking week where Chase just goes off? Can it not be this week? The pieces are there. They should have opportunities against Miami this week. Check on T. Higgins. Not sure what his status is going to be. I can't rely on him, and I can't really rely on anybody else in the Bengals passing attack. Chase Brown, yeah, sure. But he's question marks, whether he can produce or not produce. So there's pieces here. There's pieces. You just have to trust it. And it's hard to trust it. It really is. It's hard to trust it. But the number's too high not to find some pieces of these games in your daily lineups for Sunday's matchups. But if you're looking for pieces to trust, I just don't know where that's going to come from, other than Achane, I think, is the one guy that I'm going to play in my lineups this week. All right, let's move on. Let's see. Jets. The Jets in New Orleans, baby. Come on, KG. What do you got?
I'm going to tell you right now, I feel bad for anybody that actually has a ticket to this one. If they were playing in my backyard, I'm not sure I'd turn around and look out the window. This is as bad as it gets. I mean, the Saints are a 4.5 point favorite,
but they should be.
I guess
they've beaten Tampa and Carolina the last 2 weeks.
I know. It's just so sad. It's a sad football game. I mean, Jets are starting something called Brady Cook at quarterback. I couldn't pick him out of a lineup with the Timberwolves roster next to him. And this is a terrible game. Breece Hall is no longer a thing. I mean, the one guy on the Jets that's had any fantasy relevance, Adonai Mitchell. I mean, I don't even know if he was, stay away from this game if you can.
But you know what? Here's the thing, Kevin.
Come on.
The players in this game are how people win the $1 million.
That's
right?
true.
This
Someone's
is how they do it.
Yeah.
They find those little nuggets that are cheap, that people just pass over this game. I don't want a piece of it, blah, blah, blah. And it's like the one guy in this game that puts you over the top. So,
well, all right. You've got the Shug kid, the quarterback for New Orleans. You've got Devin Neal. He's a guy. Chris Olave is a stud. I will not ever rip on Chris Olave. He is, even through this low point in Saints franchise history, he just keeps on chugging week in, week out, putting up relevant fantasy points. The guy you might be talking about is Devon Vele. Now, there's a guy that's going to be cheap in daily that has blow-up potential. When you get two teams that have nothing to play for indoors, maybe something crazy happens. You got Juwan Johnson, their tight end. It's just not a game I'm going to do a lot with outside of Chris Olave. I think it's, again, 41 total. So I'm thinking maybe 24-17 Saints, but there are so many better games I want to watch.
Yep.
Today, I want to talk a little bit about the Minnesota Masonic Charities. When you think about the Masons, I get it. You think about the funny hats, those pancake breakfasts, which are phenomenal. My dear friend John Schweitz and I have chatted about this, and it's so much more than that. They've got the Masonic home over in Bloomington. They've got the hospital for the children over at the U of M. They are the largest fraternal organization in terms of charitable needs in our country, and they deserve a ton of recognition. So thank you, Minnesota Masonic Charities, for all you do and for supporting us over here at Talk North, and a special thanks to my good friend, John Schweitz.
10K Construction is your one stop for all your general contracting needs, whether interior, exterior, residential, commercial, or multifamily properties. They build relationships with their clients, and that's how they've grown their business, through referrals. Plus, they are teaming up with LP SmartSide to become Minnesota's premier siding installer. And they're also partnering with IKO Shingles as well. They've got the best of the best to do the job right. 10K Construction covers both Minnesota and Wisconsin. Now, the rumor is they charge a little extra because it's Packer land. I'm not sure about that, but what I am sure about, 10K Construction is the company you want handling all of your general contracting needs. Go to 10kconstruction.com for details.
Yes, it is Lexus December to Remember time. It's here. It is the very best time of year to purchase a new Lexus, and it's not even close. And keep in mind, it doesn't matter which side of the town you're on, because they have locations in Wayzata and Maplewood. Too many incentives to even list right now. So there's a reason why they call it a December to Remember. It's a great time to go see Charlie Swanson or his great staff. December to Remember ends, you guessed it, at the end of December. So see the inventory at Lexus of Wayzata or lexusofmaplewood.com.
All right, Tampa Bay, Carolina. This is a monster game in the NFC South. Both teams are tied at 7-7. The number's 45.5. The Bucs are an early favorite at about 1.5 points. On the Bucs side, the route share at receiver Thursday night, Godwin 95% of routes run, which is
he's coming
because he's cheap this week in daily. Evans ran 70% of the routes, and Igbuka ran 63%, the lowest of the season. And you have to wonder, and we talked about this, I did, at the beginning of the season, that if those two guys had been healthy, what would have Igbuka really looked like this year?
A third receiver, which is no different than Jalen Naylor.
And he was in one of the leagues this week that I'm in, he was available on the waivers.
I believe it.
He was available. And I picked
a month ago would have been preposterous, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Just crazy. But anyway, with those two receivers healthy, Baker Mayfield, interesting. He's only had one 20-plus fantasy game since week 5. He has not been very productive. Tampa's offense has not been very productive. That could change now because Bucky Irving is healthy. He had 76% of the share at running back last week. I love the Bucs in this game. I think this is a game they could get well. And there's some cheap pieces to this game for daily that you should consider. But I could see stacking Mayfield with Godwin, who I think is like 5,800 on FanDuel this week, and Evans, and feel like I've got a chance to score some big points at Carolina. The Panthers' pass defense late in the game against the Saints in that loss was terrible, was awful. So there's a chance that those two guys could get well for the Bucs this week. On the Panthers side, Rico Dowdle kind of reestablished himself as the running back. We'll see how that goes this week. Ted McMillan, sure. Bryce Young, yeah. This game to me, I just kind of favor the Bucs in this game. I know Carolina is at home. I know they've won. They beat the Rams at home. They've got potential to do that, but they failed miserably last week, and Tampa's failed twice miserably now in the last couple of weeks. So it's an interesting game. I'm going to go with the team that's been there before, and that's Tampa, and that's Baker Mayfield. That's Mike Evans. That's Godwin this week. And so if I'm going to play guys in fantasy, I'm going to try and cheat myself on the Tampa side more than Carolina. Could come back to bite me. Carolina, maybe they'll surprise everybody like they did when they beat the Rams that one week, but I really think that Tampa is the team to look at. Jacksonville and Denver. This is a 3:05 start. What a great matchup this week.
Huge implications in the AFC, and obviously Denver, my Broncos have the inside track to the 1 seed. Very exciting times in Denver right now. And how about on the Jacksonville side, their quarterback, 6 touchdowns last week for Trevor Lawrence, 5 through the air, 1 on the ground. Unbelievable week. Denver's defense is great, but you know what? Last week, Green Bay moved the football on them. And I don't think Jacksonville is that dissimilar to Green Bay. They've got weaponry. So I'm expecting points. The total's 45.5. I think they'll be more than 45.5. Denver, a small 3-point favorite. Trevor Lawrence for me is a start, and I love him in daily. I think he's a nice option. So is Travis Etienne. What a week for Travis last week, catching 3 touchdown passes. a running back that can get you a lot of different ways. Brian Thomas Jr., there's signs of life there. Disappointing year overall, but he's starting to get momentum late in the year. Jacoby Myers has been good for this offensive player. I know you talked about a couple weeks ago, Randy. He has opened some things up in the passing game for Lawrence and for Thomas. He is startable, and so is Brenton Strange, their tight end. A little quiet the last couple weeks, but I think, again, in a game where they're going to have to put points on the board, I think they're going to have to throw it, and all three weapons are startable. Bo Nix continues to be a tremendous real football quarterback and a very, very good fantasy quarterback. Stardom, no doubts there. Randy's guy, RJ Harvey, producing at a high level since Dobbins went down. He's been in the top 10.
He's banged up a little bit.
He is banged up a little bit, but I still think he's going to give it a go in a game of this magnitude. Cortland Sutton, a blow-up game last week. He continues to be the alpha in the passing game, so I like Cortland Sutton here. Troy Franklin quietly churning with some good fantasy production. No on the tight end. Evan Engram is more of a blocking guy. He's not a receiving guy. We're going to avoid that pitfall. I think it's a high-scoring game. I think whoever wins this game gets to 30, and so I think there are fantasy options galore.
All right, let's go to Atlanta and Arizona. It's a 3:05 start, and this is my favorite game of the week.
Wow.
For fantasy. I love this game. First of all, the number's 46.5. Arizona is 1.5. I think this is going to be a shootout back and forth between two miserable football defenses. On the Falcons side, your guy, Kyle Pitts.
How about him?
46.5 fantasy points on Thursday.
Incredible.
Damn it. I played against him in a game I had to have. I couldn't believe it. Just sat and watched this guy blow up. It was crazy. Without Drake London the last 4 weeks, he's had target shares of 25, 26, 35, and 29%. Good Lord, come on. I love Bijan Robinson this week in the matchup against the Cardinals. Houston rushed for 143 yards against the Cardinals last week with some guy named Jawar Jordan, who had 101. Are you kidding? What is Bijan going to do against these guys this week? I think Cousins and Pitts is a sneaky stack because Cousins really likes to throw to him. So, I mean, there's some pieces on the Falcons side. There's some discussion that Drake London might try to come back this week. If he does, that'd be great, but can't trust it, at least not at this point. On the Cardinals side, you got to start with Trey McBride. What a season this guy has had. The best. He goes up against the best defense in the league, maybe in Houston. 12 catches, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, 97 yards after the catch in that game against the Texans. That is unbelievable. Here's another stat. Again, with Kyler Murray as his quarterback this year, he averaged 6 catches and 55 yards. With Brissett, 8 catches, 88 yards, and a touchdown is what he averaged this week. That's phenomenal. I mean, if you compare the numbers between McBride and Bowers, it's not even close.
No.
And yes, Bowers was hurt for part of the season. I get it, but man, not even close. So I love McBride this week. The problem in daily is he's expensive. He's like $8,200 on FanDuel, which is really hard to get to. Wilson caught a touchdown pass last week. He just keeps playing well. So I can see stacking Brissett and McBride, Brissett and Wilson if you can't get to McBride. I don't like anything in the running game. It's pathetic. Michael Carter, no thank you. Even against the Falcons, no thanks. The Cardinals defense is sneaky. There's just a lot of good plays this week. And I am going to be talking about this when we get to our PPR and our,
I bet,
and our fantasy, because I really do like this game. Las Vegas is at Houston, a 3:25 start.
I think that's your game.
Oh, is that my game? I'm sorry, Kev. You got Pittsburgh and Detroit.
My favorite game. Yeah, this is the game I love. 49.5 total points. Detroit favored by 7. We just got to watch Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football, and Aaron Rodgers can still throw the ball.
Yeah.
I think
and he was efficient too.
He was good. He actually looked really good. And against Detroit, who's given up a ton of points through the air, you can fire up Rodgers in any spot with confidence. The running backs, it's two heads. It's Gainwell, it's Warren. Warren gets a little more of the snap share, but it's neither guy that I like. DK Metcalf, I love. He's the one guy I think you can trust in this offense, and he'll be the guy in my lineups where I use Rodgers as my quarterback, and there'll be a few this week. I'll link them to DK Metcalf. Again, 3 tight ends. Don't overthink it there. Just avoid the Pittsburgh tight ends. I look at Detroit kind of like I look at Philly. These are names, household names that we know and trust, and you just start them. There's going to be points in this game. I think Detroit's going to win. Goff is a start, no doubt. Gibbs is a stud, no doubt. Amon-Ra St. Brown, easy. And then Jamison Williams coming alive right now with the Laporta injury. He's been a nice secondary option. And the one question mark would be Montgomery. If they get ahead, I don't love him in fantasy. He's a really nice running back, but Gibbs gets so much of the work that I can't trust him either. So I've got Detroit winning a high-scoring game, 34-24 Detroit at least. I think there'll be points.
All right. Last game on the main slate for FanDuel is the Vegas-Houston matchup. 325 in Houston. The number's 37.5. The Texans are almost 13-point favorites. On the Raiders side, there is absolutely nothing here. There is nothing. And think about this. The Raiders had 2 of the top 15 fantasy picks to start the season in Genty and Bowers. And that offense has been awful this year. Awful. In fact, I've seen multiple things on Twitter and places like that where Pete Carroll's job may be, being discussed because they've been so bad. How about this stat? The last 3 games, the Raiders offense has run 42, 49, and 48 plays. The league average is 61. That's how bad the Raiders have been. So against the Texans, are you kidding?
Thank you.
I'm not touching them at all. Now watch the Raiders go out and win.
No chance.
The Texans, they can really feel this thing turn around. Nico Collins is fabulous, averaging 19 fantasy points over the last 7 games. He's been really good. Woody Marks got hurt, could have played if they needed him to last week. He should be fine this week. And you were right. He was a good play last week. I played him quite a bit. He did get a touchdown. I think you can play him again, fire him up. I think he's a good pick this week as well. Jawar Jordan had over 100 yards when Marks went out. Don't do that to yourself. Don't pick him up because Marks is going to be their guy. The one I love the most, though, is their defense. Oh, my God. I know they're expensive. I know that. But my goodness, that defense against this offense at home, this game could be over at halftime. Fire up the Texans, fire up Nico, fire up Stroud. Sure, I could stack them. I think that's a very good option with Woody Marks in the defense in a game that they should win easily. New England at Baltimore, Sunday night football game. It's a very important game for both teams trying to, New England's going to make the playoffs, but Baltimore has to win this game.
And Baltimore favored. I was a little surprised by that number. Yeah. Baltimore, a 3-point favorite, which makes no sense to me.
Oh, my goodness.
So keep that in mind. But the one thing we know in the betting markets is they believe there will be points. 48.5 is the total. So if you're going to play this game alone and play the captain mode, there's a lot of options here. Let's go through them. New England, they've got Drake May. He's a stud. He's a top 3 quarterback in fantasy this year. Fire him up. Stephon Diggs is his go-to receiver. I think you can play him in this spot where they're going to, I think, have to throw the football. Same thing with Hunter Henry, the tight end. Running backs are an interesting question. There's no doubt that Henderson's the guy. Stevenson still gets enough to frustrate you, but if you're going to play a back, it's going to be Trevion Henderson in a very good matchup against a Baltimore defense that running backs have been able to get to this year. Now, on the other side, Lamar Jackson hasn't been great lately, but it's at least starting to trend in the right direction, and in a must-win, I think they're going to have him doing everything. Running the ball, throwing the ball, you name it. Derrick Henry, again, you're going to start him. If you played him this long, you're going to start him. Zay Flowers had a really nice game last week. Very encouraging. Start him as well. That's it. I don't like the tight ends. It's those three or nothing. Interesting that Baltimore's favored, but I'm calling for a New England victory here. I'm going to go New England 27, Baltimore 24, and what should be a great football game.
It's going to be interesting to see how the New England defense reacts this week after giving up 5 consecutive touchdown drives to Buffalo and losing that football game, which they led 21-0.
How about that?
In a monster game in the AFC East. So, yeah, that game's going to be great on Sunday. Last game of the week is San Francisco at Indianapolis and Old Man River on Monday night, 7:15. The number's 45.5. The Niners are about 6-point favorites. On the 49ers side, yeah, fire them up. CMC for sure, top play. San Francisco's 10-4. They're behind 2 teams that are 11-3. It's a monster game for both teams because the Colts are trying to survive. But for the 49ers, this is a really, really big game for them. Brock Purdy, Jawan Jennings has kind of surfaced as their receiver of choice. Kittle is still there, all playable in one-game formats. I can see putting CMC. I think CMC will be the captain for a lot of teams on that one-game slate on that Monday. But you could certainly put Purdy there, which would be a different look, and still put Jennings and Kittle in there, maybe hoping CMC doesn't have a big game. But there's pieces there for sure. The Colts side, give Rivers credit. I mean, he didn't try to overdo it. Yeah, the interception at the end, his arm strength's just not there. But he gave them a chance.
Decent. Yeah.
He gave against one of the best defenses in the league. He gave him a chance. So another really tough test, but he'll be at home this week. I'm sure people will be fired up. It's on Monday night. They're going to have a blast with this game. You know the broadcast team will. Jonathan Taylor, sure. You can play him against the 49ers. I'm not sure what I would do at receiver if I were to look at, Rivers and trying to figure out who do I put him with. There really isn't anybody there that I trust at this point. Even Tyler Warren has fallen off the map. So to me, San Francisco wins this game. I think they win by 10. I think they basically eliminate the Colts this week from the playoffs, but it should be a fun game to watch just because of all the games within the game that are important for the fans, and watching like a Phillip Rivers and watching Christian McCaffrey, who's played all season long and has been fun to watch. All right, that's it for the games. Let's do our PPR lineups. These are the lineups that the players that we think you should have this week in PPR. I'll start. I love Hurts this week in that game against Vegas. I think he's the quarterback for me because I think he's going to get right on the ground this week. I could see him getting in twice this week. I think Philly's going to get after it early. Achane, I love him. I love Robinson at running back. I said that in this podcast. Nico Collins for sure. You got to get a piece of the Detroit game. Ross St. Brown, to me, has just been awesome the last couple of weeks. Trey McBride is a no-brainer. He's just the best tight end, and it's not even close. And I like JSN this week for Seattle because this is such a big game for them against the Rams. If they're going to be for real in the NFC West, and they are, I think he's got to step up and have a big game against Nakua, who's been obviously very good, had the great game last week, 180 yards receiving. It's going to be a fun matchup on Thursday night, but that's my PPR. Very easy to pick these guys: Hurts, Achane, Robinson, Collins, St. Brown, McBride, and JSN.
I've got some similarities. These are players you're going to look to find and afford in PPR. I'll start with Matt Stafford. He is so good. He's so elite. Keep an eye on Devontae Adams. That is a big loss if he can't go, but Stafford's going to get you a crooked number almost every week in terms of touchdown passes. He's averaging around 3 per week. James Cook is one of my 2 running backs. There's going to be a lot of work for him this week against Cleveland. I think Buffalo plays from in front, as Randy talked about. DeAndre Swift has made this list for the first time all year, and I watched a little bit of that game. He looks fresh right now, and the Kyle Monange thing has allowed Swift to have a little less tread off the tire. And I think at crunch time, when the Bears are trying to win a division and beat their rivals in Green Bay, I think Swift can be a real difference maker. So I like him this week in PPR. My receivers are the two best, Puka Nacua and Jackson Smith and Jigba. They're so good. They're so consistent. Yep. It's an easy decision. I had to go Trey McBride. I'm with you there. I can't argue that. There is no other tight end that comes close. And at flex, I like a guy that I can use every week. This guy scores every single week. Every single week, Christian McCaffrey scores a touchdown. It's almost a lock every week, and he'll score. On Monday Night Football, he'll get one for you. Stafford, James Cook, DeAndre Swift, Puka, JSN, Trey McBride, and CMC.
All right, let's go to our FanDuel lineups. Again, the slate is much different because of a big Thursday night game, two games on Saturday, taking away from the main slate possibilities. Here's where I'm going to start. I love the Arizona game. I've said it already. I'm going to go with Brissett at my quarterback at 7,500. I'm going to put him with Michael Wilson. I wanted so bad to get to McBride, but if I get to McBride, I'm really going to have to scrounge in a lot of places I didn't want to do. So I'm going to hope that Wilson has a big game. He's at 7,200. So I'm stacking those two. I'm bringing back Bijan on the other side. So my running back is Bijan Robinson at 9,600. So I got three pieces of that game. My other running back, I'm going to go with Vidal from the Chargers. He's 6,400. He got a lot of work last week. They're going up against Dallas in a game they have to have. I am hoping that he's going to get some work in both the pass game and the run game and maybe sneak a touchdown in there for me in this game. I'm going to go with Williams at receiver from Detroit. I want a piece of this Lions game against Pittsburgh, as Kevin talked about. He's only 6,700. And so that gives me at least a piece. It's not the best piece, but it gets me a piece of that game. Godwin is my other receiver. He's at 5,800 in a game that Tampa Bay has to have. Like I said earlier, he's getting a lot of play now. He's healthy. He's playing. Certainly Mayfield knows where he is. So I'm going to take a chance that's my cheap play there at receiver. My tight end is Pitts. Yeah, I love this game. I'm bringing Pitts back in that Arizona game. Come on, Kirk Cousins, Kirk O'Chains. Yep. Do it one more time for me, baby. Bring Pitts home. He's my tight end. He's only 6,000 on FanDuel. My flex player is Dowdle because I'm bringing somebody back in that Carolina-Tampa game. Yeah. At 7,600. I'm hoping he's going to get a couple of opportunities in the goal line situation for Carolina in this game. And my defense to be able to put those players in there is Tennessee. They're the cheapest defense on the slate. They're going up against Kansas City and Gardner Minshew. Are you kidding me? Come on. So the Titans are my defense at 3,000. So my lineup, Brissett at quarterback, Bijan Robinson, Vidal for the Chargers, Jameson Williams, Michael Wilson, Godwin, Pitts is my tight end, Dowdle's my flex, and Tennessee is my defense.
Very good. Very good. I'm going to spend a lot of money right off the hop, and it's going to get a little dicey when I get to my running backs, but I'm going Jared Goff. I think the Pittsburgh-Detroit game has the best opportunity to just blow up, and I want a lot of that game. So I've got Goff as my quarterback at 8,100, and I've got the expensive receiver, the guy that's hot right now, Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's 9,200. It hurts to spend that kind of money, but I believe that Amon's going to get 2 and go over 100. Makes it worthwhile. I need 4 touchdowns out of Goff to make this pay off, and we'll see how it plays out. I've got Cortland Sutton. I think he's a solid option at 6,600 for Denver against Jacksonville. I've got Jalen Waddle. I think this is a Waddle game against the Cincinnati secondary that is a funnel for go-to receivers, and Waddle was quiet on Monday Night Football. He won't be back on South Beach. My running backs, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to use these two guys. Pollard of Tennessee for 5,900. Last 2 weeks, 20.7 and 31.1.
Now,
I'm going to ride the hot hand.
You may be late to the party, but
that's my fear with Kansas City in town.
Yeah.
And then I'm using Gainwell as a guy that can catch some passes in a high-scoring game.
I said that last week. I love
He's
Gainwell.
sneaky here. So I've got Gainwell and Pollard. Gainwell's only 5,800. My tight end is Fannin. My theory is Buffalo's going to be winning. Cleveland's going to have to throw the football, and Fannin is the guy in the passing game at only 5,900. Gives me a good option at flex in Chase Brown. Again, Miami game, since he's going to have to score points, 7,200. I did the same thing you did. I got down to the defense. I'm like, well, what do I got left? Okay, I got Carolina. Baker Mayfield takes chances. Carolina at 3,900. So I've got Goff with Amon-Ra, with Sutton, with Waddle, with Pollard and Gainwell as my backs, Harold Fannin Jr. my tight end, Chase Brown my flex, and the Carolina Panthers maybe getting a pick 6 along the way.
I love it that you brought back the player that you touted to start this podcast way back in August, Chase Brown. You bring him back
I do.
on the very last show in your very last position in the flex spot to get you through. Hey, it's been fun, Kev. I appreciate all the work and all the information. I love talking fantasy football with you. We started way back in August, and this is our last show for the season. It's been a lot of fun. I want to say thanks to Aquarius Home Services, to 10K Construction, Minnesota Masonic Charities, and Lexus of Maplewood and Wayzata. And I'll let you have the last word.
Well, I want to thank everybody for watching. I got some fun texts throughout the year. Randy and I just love to play fantasy football. So that's why we enjoy talking it out. And we got to thank Alex Haugen, our producer. He helps us every single week do the show we need to do. So I had a great time, Randy. It is a blast to work with you. And I get kind of sad when we get close to Christmas because fantasy season's coming to an end. And I look forward to fantasy football every year so much. And so I'm a little bit melancholy that it's coming to an end.
Well, here's how you take care of that. Win your leagues this week and take home some money. That's the bottom line this week.
Yep.
Hey,
Good
thanks
call.
to everybody for watching. We appreciate it very much. Good luck in the playoffs if you're so lucky to be in the playoffs, and enjoy the rest of the NFL season. Kev, down the road.
Thanks, Randy.